All right, what's going on, friends? In this video, I'm going to show you how to change your oil on your Cub Cadet RZT SX. Now, this one has just the engine that Cub Cadet makes. I think some of these might have a Kohler, some might have a Kawasaki. Everything should be probably real similar, though. If you do have those engines, just make sure you put the correct amount of oil in, and you're going to probably take a different oil filter. But it should tell you that in the manual. For this Cub Cadet, I'm going to show you all the tools that I use and the oil and filters that I use. Along with changing the oil, I am going to grease up some of the grease fittings and change the air filter. All right, these are some of the tools I'm going to use and some of the parts that I have. I have an oil filter wrench. I have a little marker to mark the date and hours on this oil filter. I may end up using this little wire brush. You might want some rubber gloves. You're going to need a 3/4 inch wrench and a 7/16 inch wrench. I'm going to use my grease gun, and I will try to put a link down in the description to all these parts that I'm using. I'm going to use 2 quarts of 5W30 for this engine, and I did buy a brand new air filter, and you're probably going to want a few paper towels, along with something to drain your oil in, and probably a funnel. First thing we're going to do is I'm going to start this engine up, and I recommend trying to warm this up for at least 5 minutes. You want to get your engine oil warmed up so that way when you drain it out, it'll drain out of your engine a lot easier. It's very important not to start your mower and let it run inside your garage. I recommend running it outside because of the exhaust coming off your engine. All right, while that's running, one more thing I'm going to use is probably just an old piece of cardboard that I can put down underneath my mower so I don't get oil all over my nice concrete floor. All right, while that's running, I did put the date and hours on my filter, just in case you want to do that. You could also maybe put the date on your air filter so you know when you did change that, and hours if you want. Now I can put my drain pan down under here. There's a black tube hanging out underneath your engine. That's where you're going to drain your oil. For some reason, I'm not getting any younger. It messes my knees up. All right, we're going to take this 3/4 inch wrench. We'll put that on first. All right, before I start draining that, be careful. Right back here, it says hot. Well, it's not joking. That's definitely hot. That's where your exhaust comes out. So be careful you don't burn your hands on there. I'm going to put my 3/4 inch wrench on there. And because that's a square plug, you're going to have to put the open-end wrench on this side. And then open her up. The system is kind of a pain, but kind of nice because it doesn't make a big mess. So once you get it loosened up, it's not too bad. And once you get that started, get that loose, take your wrench off. There you go. All right, while that's draining, another thing you can do to help that drain a little bit, take your dipstick out, wipe that off, paper towel. We're going to set that aside. All right, while that's draining, we can change out our air filter. The right and the left side, you just got to turn this to unlock it. Like that, and this pops right off. Just doesn't look too bad down in there. There's a lot of junk down in there. I recommend taking maybe your shop vac and vacuuming that out. It doesn't look too bad. All right, if you don't have a new filter and you want to try to get some more life out of this one, like I said, you can take this piece off. And you're just going to maybe blow this out, or it's probably, if you really gently, you could probably get this wet even and blow some water through the opposite way and get all that dirt off. I'm not going to show you that part, but I will show you my shop vac. See, I just unhook my hose and I put it over here. This is where my shop vac blows air out. All right, I got my hose hooked up to the exhaust port. Put this over this hole. Just tap on it. Or you could try to take an air compressor and blow some air through there with an air compressor. But I think your best bet is just putting a new air filter on every once in a while. This back down in here. Your cover back on. 2 little tabs in the front. Go up there, right here in the front. Another thing you can do while you're waiting for that to drain is there are 8 different spots to grease up on this lawnmower. So I have 2 here, 1 on each wheel, and 2 underneath. I didn't tell you this in the parts, but if you do have a T30, you can take this cover off, which I really think is nice. That way when I do put the grease in there, I can see see if there's any grease coming out. So there's a T30 right here, and there's one right here. And that lifts right off of there. Set that aside. Another thing, while you have that off, you could clean this up a little bit. I think I'll just get my shop vac and suck up some of this dirt. All right, on these front 2 tires, there's a Zerk fitting right here, and there's one here on the outside. So I'm just going to try to clean them up a little bit. Clean up. Another thing I do like to do, I like to take this little tiny screwdriver, and there's a little tiny ball right in the center of both them Zerk fittings. Make sure that ball moves. That one there seems like it goes in a little bit. Oh yeah, they both move good. Sometimes if people don't grease these up, those balls will start to get stuck. And then you go to try to put grease in there. It's really hard to grease. So grease this first one up. And you should start to see some grease shoot out either the top or the bottom here. There we go. See at the bottom down there? Grease is coming out. That's good. All right, I'll show you this front one. See the grease coming out the top? Some of that grease started shooting out the top, so that's good. All right, we also have 2 right here. If you see this is the spot where you make your deck go up and down. If you got to adjust the height of your deck because it's maybe not level. But right to the right and left, you got a Zerk fitting here, and you got a Zerk fitting here. Let's grease those 2 spots. I already wiped them off with a paper towel, so they're a little bit cleaner. That shouldn't take too much. It's a couple little squirts. This is for your steering. There we go. Just a couple in there. That's good. You can wipe that off to clean it off a little. We also, on each one of these tires, on one side or the other, there should be a Zerk fitting. There's a Zerk fitting right back in here on both tires. So just clean them up and grease those 2 up also. And then while you're at it, maybe a little overkill, but I'm going to take a little bit of white lithium grease and just spray on this gear. There, a little bit on the other side, and turn it. You could probably wipe some of that up if you want. All right, after you get the 3 Zerk fittings here greased up, the 3 on the other tire, and the 2 right directly under here, and you can put your covers back on. I recommend, like all the other little bolts that I end up taking off anything in any of my videos, you want to always start your bolts by hand so you don't strip them out. I'm also not going to go real tight with my power tools. I'm going to put the other side on. All right, all my oil's definitely done draining. I'm going to clean up these threads a little bit. And it doesn't say this in the manual, but I can see that whoever did this last, I think they had it done where they bought it. But it probably can't hurt to take a little wire brush, clean up these threads. Either put some Teflon tape on there maybe, or I have some thread sealing compound. So I'm going to put a little bit of that on and then put that back on. Make sure this thing don't leak. I don't know if these things tend to try to leak a little bit out this plug or what. Good. Now we can put this plug back in. And just tighten that up. Okay. Should be good. I'm just going to wipe that off. All right, now all we got to do is take off the oil filter and put a new oil filter on and put some oil in it. Let's move this pan over. There's oil filters on this side. All right, another little trick is I'm going to take this little piece of cardboard and I'm going to put it up under my oil filter. It's really hard to show you. If you look down in there, there's another spot on this side of the engine, just like the other side where they could put a little drain tube. So I'm going to try to drain that oil. I'm kind of bending the back of this up, and then I'm going to bend it like this so it will go right down that hole so I don't have a big huge mess in under here. Now I got to loosen that up. Loosen that with my filter wrench. Once I get this loose, I'm going to just take it off by hand. Somebody put that filter on really tight for some reason. Like that's a little excessive. Alright, that's loose, so make sure my cardboard's in there nice. See how this is either going to work or not work. Oh, look at that. Beautiful. Right down that hole. I'm going to take my new filter. I'm going to take my finger, put a little bit of new oil on it. Just a little bit. And I'm going to run that around this rubber seal. Now we're going to spin that on. Put that on about as tight as you can by hand. I'm still going to take my filter wrench and tighten it up just a little bit more, maybe a quarter turn. Alright, that's good enough. Alright, now that you drained your old oil, put the drain plug back in and put a new oil filter on. You can fill this up with oil. You should be able to just dump those 2 complete quarts of oil in. Let that drain a little bit. Like I said in the beginning of the video, I'm changing oil in the Cub Cadets. This is their engine. It's just a Cub Cadet engine. It's a 679 cc V-twin engine. So if you're changing in a Kohler or a Kawasaki, you might want to look in your manual and see what kind of oil you want. I mean, they all take different viscosities depending on what the temperature is in the area that you live. That's good. My second one there. Let that drain out for a little bit. Alright. That should be good. Now you're going to put your dipstick back in and tighten it up. It's just one little, like little quarter turn. That's how you're going to check it. And pull that out. Looks pretty good. You can wipe it off. Try it. Do it one more time. Now it should be all the way up to this high mark right here over that last hole. Mine looks perfect. All right, one last thing. Make sure you got your drain pan out from underneath your mower. I like to start these up, just let it run for a little bit. Maybe I'll just take it out, go for a ride around my yard, come back, let it sit in my driveway. Just look around, make sure there ain't nothing leaking, and then bring it back in my garage or shut it off wherever. Just make sure it's on a level surface. Let your mower sit for maybe 5-10 minutes so all your oil drains back down into your oil sump. And then I recommend checking your oil one more time just to make sure. All right, well, that's about it. I hope this video helped you out with the changing your oil on your Cub Cadet. Give this video a thumbs up. Leave me a comment down below. I love reading all them comments. And I try to respond to almost every comment down there. Hit that subscribe button to help support my channel because I plan on making about 3 or 4 more videos with this lawnmower. God bless and have a great summer.